Miss Amy's Math.
All right, so today we're going to work through a few consecutive integer word problems. We'll start off with some easy ones and then work our way up to some harder ones.
No!
Let's start off by defining consecutive integers. Consecutive integers are integers that simply follow each other in order. Some examples are 1, 2, 3, 4. -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. 114, 115, 116. So they just follow each other in order. Now when we see the words consecutive integers in a word problem, we're going to have to translate them into algebra. So I'm going to pick the variable n to represent the first integer. Then n plus 1 will be the next integer. N plus 2 will be the third integer. N plus 3 will be the fourth integer, and so on depending on how many integers I need. Now, let's look at example 1. It says, the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 66. What are the values of the 3 integers? So I see the phrase 3 consecutive integers. So I'm going to use n plus 1, and n plus 2. It says the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 66. So that tells me I'm going to add them up, and that's going to equal 66. So let's put that down in equation form. I have n plus n plus 1 plus n plus 2 equals 66. Now all we have to do is solve the equation for n. So we'll collect like terms. N plus n plus n, that's 3n. Next, we add up the numbers. We have 1 plus 2, that equals 3. So we have 3n plus 3 equals 66. Now we need to get n all alone. So we'll subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. That gives us 3n equals 63. Now we divide both sides by 3, and we get n equals 21. So we're almost done. We have the value of one integer, but we need all 3. So if n is 21, then n plus 1 is 22, and n plus 2 is 23. So our 3 integers are 21, 22, and 23. And we're done. Example 2 says, find 3 consecutive integers such that the sum of the first and the third is -32. So I see the words 3 consecutive integers. That tells me I'll be using n plus 1, and n plus 2. It says the sum of the first and the third. That tells me I'm going to be adding the first, n, and the third, n plus 2. It says that the sum of the first and the third is -32. So I'm going to write the complete equation. N plus n plus 2 equals -32. Now we have to solve for n. So we'll collect like terms. N plus n is 2n. So that gives us 2n plus 2 equals -32. So now to get n all alone, we'll subtract 2 from both sides of the equation. That gives us 2n equals negative 34. Now we just divide both sides by 2, and we have n equals negative 17. So we have our first integer, n equals negative 17. The next one will be n plus 1. So that's negative 17 plus 1, which is negative 16. And for our third integer, we have n plus 2. So that's negative 17 plus 2, which equals negative 15. And we've found our 3 consecutive integers.
Hooray!
Example 3 says, find the largest of 4 consecutive integers such that the sum of the first and 3 times the third is 12 more than the fourth. So there's a lot going on in this example. Let's just take it one phrase at a time. I see 4 consecutive integers. So I'll be using n plus 1, n plus 2, and n plus 3. Next, we see the word sum. So that tells us that we'll be adding things. So what will we be adding? It says the sum of the first, that's n, and 3 times the third. So that's 3 times the third, n plus 2. Now you have to make sure that you put parentheses, otherwise the problem will come out wrong. So we're told that this sum is 12 more than the fourth. So we know that the sum is greater than the fourth, n plus 3, but we want to write an equation. So how can we make things equal? Well, if the sum is 12 more than the fourth, we can make them equal by adding 12 to the fourth. Now, all we have to do is solve for n. So let's start by simplifying the left side of the equation. We'll distribute the 3. That gives us n plus 3n plus 6. Now, on the left side, we'll collect like terms. And on the right side, we'll add up the numbers. So we'll get 4n plus 6 equals n plus 15. Now we want to collect all the n's on one side of the equation. So we'll subtract n from both sides. That gives us 3n plus 6 equals 15. Now, to get n all alone, we'll subtract 6 from both sides of the equation. We have 3n equals 9. Now we just have to divide both sides by 3. And we get n equals 3. So we've solved for n, but our problem wants us to find the largest of 4 consecutive integers. So the largest is n plus 3. So since n is 3, n plus 3 will equal 3 plus 3, which is 6. And that's it. We're done. Go ahead and pause the video now and try the practice problems on your own.